I think every police officer should know that there is a mandatory drug test, 'di ba, for those kinds of, accidents. No? Importante 'yan. Feeling ko ayaw lang nila for political reasons. Yung lotto winnings, how improbable it is for every day, almost every day, someone is winning. Kasi pwede mo ngang gamitin yan for theft, for plunder, and for money laundering.
We deserve what we tolerate. And for this instance, we are tolerating our leaders, our politicians.
Bibilang, tapos parang may mano pa, tapos magbibigay. As if they think, these politicians, they think that it is their money that they're giving already. Ganun na sila, parang they believe their own, that since they have control over the money, it's their money already.
Sindikato talaga siya. Our government is a big syndicate.
We want to ask the critical question today, in our country. For both of us, we want to discuss: are we in a democracy or are we in a kleptocracy? So parang technical yung yung mga terms, no? So we want to define this first. What is democracy? Democracy is a system of government where power is vested in the people, no? This typically happens through elected representatives chosen in free and fair elections. The core principles include the rule of law, protection of human rights like freedom of speech, accountability of leaders to the public. That's democracy, Ram. The second one, in contrast, kleptocracy, is a form of government where officials use their authority to exploit the state's resources for personal gain. It's marked by corruption, theft of public funds, and a focus on enriching those in power rather than serving the population. So obvious, no? Nasaan tayo? Are we in a democratic country or are we in a kleptocratic country?
As much as I want that to choose a democracy, no, I think sa ngayon nasa kleptocracy tayo. Pero ang gustong iparating ng mga leaders natin ay nasa democracy.
There's a semblance. Parang there's a semblance of democracy.
Kasi ang nawawala ngayon, no, I think it's the check and balance. Parang hindi ko nakikita yung check and balance between the executive branch, the legislative, and judiciary.
Parang iisa lang, no? Parang everyone is like conniving, no? It's like a syndicate. So nakikita natin yun. No? So kasi there are core principles na sinabi ko kanina. One is rule of law. Do we have a rule of law today or just rule of powerful people? Kasi parang hindi na natin nakikita yung batas Parang hindi na natin sinusunod. No, we can relate that to the current accident, parang the recent accident na nangyari sa SCTEX, Ram. So what happened in SCTEX is there's a bus, no, Solid North, who rammed several vehicles, killing 10 people. And one of the important thing that should be done there, aside from arresting the driver and making the owner of the bus company accountable, is to have a mandatory drug testing. No, according to the law, Republic Act 10586, Anti-Drunk and Drug Driving Act of 2013. Napakalinaw, no? Section 7, no, mandatory alcohol and chemical testing of drivers involved in motor vehicular accidents. A driver of a motor vehicle involved in a vehicular accident resulting in the loss of human life or physical injuries shall be subjected to chemical tests, including a drug screening test and, if necessary, a drug confirmatory test, as mandated under Republic Act 9165 or the Dangerous Drugs Act. What happened kasi, Ram, when they were trying to drug test the driver, sabi ng driver, hindi, ayoko magpa-drug test. And then the police officer said hindi, ayaw niya magpa-drug test so hindi namin siya i-drug test. It is his right not to be subjected to a drug test. According to the law, mandatory ang drug test if there is a vehicular accident. So, is there rule of law there? Why do you think ayaw nilang i-drug test nung hindi pumayag i-drug test yung isang driver?
Siguro no, number one is the lack of knowledge of that policeman. So meron din tayong kulang siguro sa training, or kung may kailangan silang review on such laws, kailangan ma-review din yung mga policemen natin. Tsaka sila yung nagpapatupad ng batas they should be familiar with it. Lalo na kung merong biktima na namatay or nasugatan.
Basic As a police officer, when you have those kinds of situations, I think every police officer should know that there is a mandatory drug test, diba, for those kinds of accidents. No? Importante yan. Feeling ko, ayaw lang nila for political reasons. No, that is the reality that's happening right now. Kasi even the PNP chief said that in one of his interviews, sabi niya, taking drugs like shabu is just for them to prolong their waking hours, no? So, sabi ko nga, may isa akong kaibigan, sabi niya, wala na ba tayong kape? Bakit kailangan tayo umasa sa, for example, na pinagbabawal na droga for us to be able to prolong our waking hours to work, no? So, again, it's a leadership problem.
And that means then na-abuse din yung mga drivers kasi they are working prolonged hours. So, tingin ko it's baka kailangan napipilitan din sila kasi it's beyond 16 hours or worse, even 24 hours na tuloy-tuloy ang biyahe. So, hindi lang yung driver ang liable dito. I think even the practices of bus companies.
Yeah, so meron din internal problems, no, yung kumpanya. And going back, no, sa discussion natin about democracy, there are core principles, rule of law. So how can we say that there is rule of law when, for example, during these elections, vote buying is not allowed? Direct or indirect vote buying is not allowed, but we saw that during the election campaign, nagdi-distribute pa sila ng mga ayuda, which is actually, in reality, we weren't born yesterday. It's actually a form of vote buying. So again, we have the law, but we don't implement the law. And rule of law is part of democracy. Another thing, during the time na kidnap or ng illegal arrest of former President Rodrigo Duterte, the Department of Justice said that they are, according to the law, considered as competent judicial authority, which is actually the opposite of what the law provides. The competent judicial authority belongs to the courts, not to executive agencies like the Department of Justice. But ang Department of Justice mismo na nagsabi na they are a competent judicial authority. Again, taliwas na naman kung ano sinasabi ng batas. Again, another proof that we're not currently in a democracy. Another core principle, protection of freedom of speech. Do you think there is a protection of freedom of speech in our country today?
Kita ko before yung hearing with the vloggers, parang they are nitpicking the details. And then, pag nireport din na mainstream, china-chop din nila on how they want to report it. So, parang pinagmumukha nila na, for example, nagsusorry sila for saying fake news. But, in reality, they are saying sorry for another topic. Parang ganon. So, di ko na alam kung paano ba yung media natin, no? Kasi they are also doing fake news, so we should be critical thinkers then on what we should believe On both ends, on both mainstream and vlogging.
Well, the difference kasi with the mainstream media and social media is you can comment on it. You can provide contrary evidence. For example, may sinabi ako na isang parang event in history na hindi tama. Someone can comment on it. Ang problema kasi sa mainstream media, lalo na yung legacy media, yun sa TV, it's only one way. No, you can only criticize them when they post it on social media. So it's very important when the mainstream media provides their news in social media so that people can like, share, or comment on it, or fact check them, or provide their own information that can contradict whatever they're saying. Just like what we do in social media also, when we provide a comment, an opinion, or a certain discussion of a certain topic, someone can comment on it, correct us, or enforce our opinion or beliefs or the situation that we are reporting, for example. So the protection of freedom of speech, yun yung isa sa mga cornerstone ng democratic society. Yun nga, sabi mo nga, nakita natin how they pressure these bloggers who are merely criticizing the service of public officials, which is part of a democratic society kasi we pay for these public officials. They are paid with our taxes. Hindi ba? So it's important for us to be able to make them accountable with their actions as public officials. Ang nangyari kasi to a lot of these officials, they are giving false, quote-unquote, opinions about them. Opinions are opinions, di ba? These are exclusive to the person giving it.
And ang ano ko lang dyan, no? If they are giving that kind of scrutiny sa SOCMED vloggers, how about give that scrutiny as well to the mainstream media?
Yes.
Kasi ang nangyayari parang they are nitpicking on the vloggers. So, dapat makita din natin yung same passion towards the mainstream.
The problem with the mainstream media is if you follow the money, their motivation is profit. Kasi tayo, for example, ang ordinaryong Pilipino na magko-comment, wala naman siyang kita dyan kung magko-comment siya. Wala naman nagbabayad dyan eh. Unless of course you have a troll farm. Diba? Social media troll farm na binabayaran mo to provide fake comments or manufacture some noise. No, iba 'yon. Pero ang ordinaryong tao like us, like other people we know that just comments and posts things that about their opinions and about certain events, what's happening in our country. No, iba yung motivation nila. It's number one, it's for them to expose something, to help the country, or just share information. Pero kasi ang nangyayari sa media natin, they are being paid. They are being used as a propaganda machine by those who are in power.
Don't get me wrong, pero yung mga ibang vloggers din, no, they are also being paid. So kailangan din talaga nating mamili, no, kung ano yung mga tamang information na nakukuha natin. Kasi yung iba ring vloggers ay propaganda machine din.
Tama. So dapat both sides of the aisle, whether you're in the opposition or whether you are in administration, dapat equal
scrutiny.
Equal scrutiny
on both sides.
But the thing is, tingin mo ba they can make equal scrutiny if they're benefiting from another side of...
Yun nga yung sinasabi ko kanina. If they are that passionate with the social media vloggers, they should do that as well to the mainstream. Kaso, syempre, I think ang narrative ng mainstream ay nakalatag na yan eh. Kasi ano na yan eh, parang partners in crime na talaga yan eh. Syempre, I cannot present any proof, pero that's my take, that's my opinion about it.
Not only that, you can observe it. It's so obvious. The mainstream media doesn't report national extremely important national issues. No, they just nitpick again. They just choose whatever that their patrons or their bosses want to be published. So, for example, are the mainstream media focused on making our politicians and leaders accountable? Example, let's enumerate, no? Baka makalimutan natin. The discrepancy between the National Expenditure Program and the GAA, diba, our budget in our country, the national budget, there is an anomaly there, no? There are blank spaces na nakalagay during nung nilabas nila sa bicameral committee. There are blank spaces that needed to be filled up. That should not be the case. No, these are billions of pesos that are being left for someone to fill. So that is an anomaly, and it hasn't been really the focus of the mainstream media. Another thing, naalala mo yung Maharlika Fund? Maharlika Fund, 2 years or 3 years ago, was established, but there's no accounting. There's no detailed accounting about the Maharlika Fund. They got money, billions of pesos in DBP, no, around 62.5 billion pesos, Land Bank 62.5 billion pesos, GSIS 62.5 billion pesos, SSS 62.5 billion pesos. So where do those money go? These monies are the reserve monies of our banks and of our agencies that should protect ordinary Filipino citizens. Pero saan nilalagay? To Maharlika Fund. Alam mo ba yung details na yan? They align to Maharlika Fund without proper accounting. So where does di natin dinidiscuss. Mainstream media does not discuss Maharlika Fund.
Sino ba dapat mag-audit dito? Kasama ba siya sa ano?
Commission on Audit.
Commission on Audit? Do they have, meron na ba tayong report about it? Kasi yung 250 billion, it should stimulate our stock market. Ang nakita ko sa stock market natin, it's going down Instead of para siyang 'di ba? Parang stimulus siya para umangat ang stock market. Pero ako kasi tinitingnan ko rin yung stock market every now and then. It's not going up, it's going down.
Yeah.
Ang trend ngayon it's going down. So, yun. So, we need to see that report as well para naman makita natin if the money is well spent. And dapat yung pera doon, tumubo naman tayo, 'di ba? Kasi tinanggal natin sa mga banking institutions natin For what? For what? Ano yung risk reward ratio natin, 'di ba? Ano yung objective ng Maharlika Fund, 'di ba? Yun yung dapat na singilin natin kasi ginusto nila yung Maharlika Fund for that objective. What is that objective? 'Di ba, is to have our money double or sabihin na nating 20 to 50% up tayo in 2 to 3 years ganyan. Pero wala tayong report na nakukuha.
Wala. Actually, one of my friends said na why don't you offer your, for example, business sa Maharlika Fund? Sabi ko, meron pa palang Maharlika Fund. And the last time I saw Maharlika Fund, they invested in a big electric company. They don't even invest in small and medium enterprises that can, jumpstart growth. Helping these SMEs to be able to employ more people, generate jobs, etc. Wala, no? So kasi our discussion right now, it's are we in a democratic country or society or are we in a kleptocratic country? So we are just, filling in, discussing each of the elements of a democratic society na pag tinitingnan natin, it's not actually happening. Yung core principles of rule of law, protection of human rights, like freedom of speech and accountability of leaders to the public are not present. Let's go back, no? Diba? We are talking about a national budget anomaly. No, hindi pinapakita ng mainstream media. The Maharlika Fund na dapat i-discuss natin, that is a huge national investment fund na hindi natin alam kung nasan yung mga investments on. Another thing, kumuha pa sila sa PDIC, Philippine Depository Insurance Company, which is actually secures our deposits in banks. 117 billion pesos. PDIC, where will you put that money? Para saan? Makikita mo mamaya may utang pa tayo. We have a huge deficit and mga utang tayo ngayon. We will see. We will discuss that in a bit. PhilHealth. How much is PhilHealth ang kinuha? PhilHealth funds should be used only for health. For the health of the populace. Kaya nga tayo nagbabayad mandatory doon eh. Ikaw, Ram, kaltas ka dyan, di ba?
Yes, mandatory.
Anong
So,
nakakaltas sa'yo? Yes, sige.
Instead of having your own insurance or HMOs,
Mm.
kailangan mo pa ng PhilHealth. For the longest time, parang hindi pa ako nakakagamit ng PhilHealth. Siguro yung I benefited from PhilHealth pag nanganganak si Sakura, yung maternity benefit. Pero that's about it eh.
Yeah, why don't you just buy your own personal private, 'di ba? Health HMO, 'di ba?
And
You still have the
HMOs
freedom,
being
yeah.
provided by the company.
Mhm.
So
Oh, yun.
I'm not sure para saan ang PhilHealth for me. And plus yung SSS, actually I don't see the need for SSS. Kung if you plan your retirement well,
Yeah.
hindi mo kailangan ng yung pension na 6,000.
Yeah.
Saan mo gagamitin yung 6K? 6K is like 200 per day. Ano yun?
Grabe, no?
Ng 60 ko, parang 1 cup of rice na lang siguro yun, di ba? Papakainin mo lang ng 1 cup of rice. Di ba?
Okay lang sana if you get the best out of these agencies. But the problem is, even yung reserve nito, kinukuhanan pa, 62.5 billion kinuha sa SSS. Where did they transfer? Maharlika Fund? Again, we're asking, saan po na pupunta yung Maharlika Fund? Ano po yung accounting niyan? Every Filipino citizen, whether patriotic or not, since nagbabayad tayo ng taxes, nagbabayad tayo ng PhilHealth, nagbabayad tayo ng GSIS, nagbabayad tayo ng SSS, we should ask these important questions. No, saan yung mga billion-billion na to? GSIS, if you're a government employee, kinuhanan din nila. 60 plus billion. DBP, kinuhanan nila. 60 plus billion. Land Bank, kinuhanan nila. 60 plus billion.
Ang ano ko lang dyan, no? If they are getting this kind of funds, dapat meron ding tangible output and they are reporting it regularly. Kasi this is the people's money eh. It's not the money of the politicians or our leaders. Ayoko nga silang tawaging leaders eh kasi they don't represent me. Kasi magkaiba kami ng values.
Yes. Actually, leaders, the term leader is for people who really lead, not people who, number one, using public funds for their personal gains or just follow other people, other powers that be, to promote their agenda. Another thing, Ram, 20 tons of gold sa BSP. We don't know.
Natin, right?
Binenta natin. We don't even know saan ba binenta yan and para saan. Para saan ang pagbenta ng 20 tons of gold? Are we funding infrastructure?
Yun nga eh. Ano yung kapalit ng 20 tons? And why do we need to sell? Why do we need to sell?
Exactly. Just recently, binalita, they discontinued the subway project that was started in the previous administration. The subway project that can help hundreds of thousands or even millions of commuters in the city. Why? Diba? Na-start na yan eh. Ano nangyari? Intercity dispute? Bakit? If you love the country, if you are a leader, you will make sure that you will be able to solve those kinds of issues because you were voted for that one.
What kind of leader na uunahin pa nila yung mga egos nila, no? versus
Mm.
sa pagkabuti ng transportation ng kanilang constituents. So I think, hindi ko alam, baka ano ba yan, hatian ng komisyon, hindi ko alam. Kasi masyadong hindi siya common sense na ipatigil lang ganong project nang walang mabigat na dahilan.
Yeah, we're not born yesterday, so we know that there is power and money involved there. No. And again, it goes back to our values. That's why we are coming up with these kinds of conversations and podcasts. That values first before technical education. Magaling ka nga na politiko, pero baluktot naman yung values mo. Magnanakaw ka, you're focused on consuming rather than giving. You're focused on power rather than using your power for public service. Those are values that we need to change. No? If we cannot change it radically, let's change it persistently. We need to be in a long-term commitment in changing our value system in the country. So yun, no, in-enumerate natin, rule of law, protection of freedom of speech, and accountability of public officers. These are missing in our society today, especially in our country. Flood control projects, Rab. Flood control projects, it was said, no, that 1 trillion pesos were spent for 4,500 flood control projects. And then after a few days, nagkabagyo, wasak cities or provinces na nasalanta ng bagyo.
I think yung auditing natin, no, and siguro ang clamor for accountability dapat maging mas stronger, coming from the citizens of the Philippines. Kasi, for example, tayo, we are asking where is this? Pero are we really asking for the details kung nag-uusap lang tayo and not asking the right department like Commission on Audit? Kasi here we are talking about it, pero we are not deliberately asking for the report, right? Parang nag-uusap. Kung tayo sa level natin, it's only conversational. What more for the other Filipinos, right? Parang wala rin tayong pake actually Parang lilipas lang yan. 3 more years, wala na si Marcos, etc. Parang ganun yung mindset natin. We are desensitized or we are tolerating this kind of behavior. So, meron ngang quote, di ba, na we deserve what we tolerate. And for this instance, we are tolerating our leaders, our politicians. So, yun, sad reality yun Ang ano lang din kasi, we are going on with our lives, di ba? And sige, pagbutihan na lang natin para hindi tayo masyadong affected. Parang ganun yung naging mindset talaga.
Alam ng mga politicians yung ganyan, that people take care of their own personal work or circumstances. That's why they're also taking care of their personal circumstances inside the government. So habang ginagawa natin yung trabaho natin, may ginagawa rin naman silang kababalaghan sa loob ng gobyerno. They know that. They know that people cannot just protest. Because always remember, they have the armed forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police. These are armed people. We will discuss about the Second Amendment in the United States in relation to that one. No? The reason why the government is powerful is because they have the power of the government's arms, the state's armaments, the state's police, the state's military. That is the power. Look at what happened to INC. Di ba milyon-milyon tao ang nag-rally nun? Ano tingin mo? There is an information coming from some social media influencers that tinawanan lang yun kasi wala namang armas They're not afraid because wala naman silang military, wala silang police. That is what protects this current administration. No, the power of the AFP and the police. We will talk about that later. Let's go back. No, so since we're discussing about democracy in contrast with kleptocracy, which is actually the current state of our country right now, how about the anomalous lotto winnings? ngayon lang ako nakakita na almost every week, even now medyo hinay-hinay sila, hinay-hinay. Pero before, halos every day, every other day, multi-millions winning, solo winner. Sometimes they will make a variety, dalawa. Minsan, one weekend, walang nanalo. Pero the next day, 200 million, 300 million nanalo. O tapos, the next day, 7 million, barya. No, 10 million, 3 million, tapos biglang 150 million panalo. These lotto winnings should have been investigated. Yeah.
I think that's the way on how they launder the money. Kasi naging legit siya eh. If it's winnings, 300 million o less tax, sabihin natin 30%, 200 million nalaban mo na, diba?
Yeah. Correct.
So,
It's
ano siya, sistema siya kung on how they launder the money.
Agree.
Lang yun, it's just my opinion.
Just like casinos. No, I mean, it's an opinion. It's an intellectual guess. It's a hypothesis. No, but most probably, with the current state of our country right now, yung pagbabalahura nila sa rule of law, these kinds of things are easy for them. If they could, nag-start yan eh. I started to doubt what's happening because of the lotto winnings eh. Before Maharlika Fund pa eh. Yung lotto winnings, how improbable it is for every day, almost every day, someone is winning. Kasi pwede mo ngang gamitin yan eh for theft eh, for plunder and for money laundering. And then, kita natin, halos sunod-sunod. Ngayon, medyo hinay-hinay. Pero sandali lang bumalik ulit yun at ulit-ulit. So these are the things, no? Again, kleptocracy, in contrast with democracy, is a form of government where officials use their authority to exploit public resources for their personal gain. So yan ang nangyayari sa natin. Democracy aims to serve and represent the people. That is the ideal. Kleptocracy prioritizes the self-interest of the ruling elite. In terms of governance naman, democracy relies on transparency, fair elections, and legal protections. So do we see transparency? Sa national budget lang natin, Ram. Yung National Expenditure Program was publicly debated in Congress, pero paglabas, ang taas ng increase. Pakita nga natin yung increase dito. 2025 National Expenditure Program, 158 billion pesos. 159 billion pesos. Pero sa GAA, yung na-approve na budget, is 363.424 billion. Increased by 204.76 billion. Ang laki ng increase, from the publicly deliberated tapos yung sa GAA, ang increase niya is 204.76 billion. So these are not publicly deliberated. In other words, these are insertions in our budget.
Kaya rin hindi masyadong maingay. Kasi they are corrupting the people as well through the dole outs. Yung mga akap, tupad.
Ayun.
Lahat ng 4-piece. Yun yung mga hush money nila sa mga tao eh. And the ultimate victim here is the middle class. Kasi we are funding for that. Kasi sino bang natataksan ng malala? It's the middle class. It's not even the poor people. Kasi yung mga naka-minimum is walang taxes yan eh. Hindi na tinatax yan. Pero mga middle class, it ranges from I guess 20 to 32%. So,
yes.
So pagka-receive mo ng payslip mo, wala na yung 32%. So masakit siya.
Instead what you do.
Instead of using that money to improve your life, you are contributing to the government na sana may bumalik sa middle class, pero wala eh. Even yung clamor ng magandang transportation, wala eh. So yun.
they bombard us with, alam mo, natatawa nga ako parang when we discover corruption, they will bombard us with more corruption. In a way, parang ang intention is to desensitize the masses. Parang, oh, meron na naman, napansin na namin ito For example, the budget. Oh, meron na naman utang, billions of pesos, billions of dollars. We can check that later. And then they distract the people through the mainstream. They use the mainstream media. They use the mainstream media to mislead the people with the important national issues. The one that they're doing with Ayuda is actually Ayuda and concerts. Diba? Nakita mo, may concert pa for OFWs. What is that? How will that help the OFWs? You can help the OFWs by making their families safe and prosperous here in the country and helping them to go back to the country to work here instead of abroad. So their strategy, Ram, is what the Romans do before, during the ancient times. The strategy is the bread and circuses strategy, or in Latin, may Latin pa, panem et circenses. This phrase originates from the Roman poet Juvenal, who used it to criticize the government's tactic of providing free food. In our case, ayuda, cash. And pag nagbibigay pa sila ng ayuda, akala mo sa kanila yung pera. Parang nagmamano ka. Have you seen the videos?
Some videos I've seen.
Nagbibilang, tapos parang may mano pa, tapos magbibigay. As if they think these politicians, they think that it is their money that they're giving already. Ganun na sila, parang they believe their own, that since they have control over the money, it's their money already. That's one. The free food is actually the ayuda, and lavish entertainment, which are the concerts. Concerts to distract the population from political corruption, social inequality, and the erosion of civic responsibility. The idea was straightforward, Ram. By keeping the masses fed, quote-unquote, through ayuda and entertained, the ruling class could maintain power and prevent unrest, even as they engage in oppressive or self-serving governance. But the problem is we're not in the Roman times anymore. We already have the social media. Meron pa tayong problema sa passive citizenry, but we already have the tools to be able to make our politicians accountable to the public. What do you think?
Oo. I think ano pa siya hindi pa mature yung Filipinos to react negatively sa mga nangyayari. Kasi gaya nga ng napag-usapan natin, we are too busy improving our lives para makialam pa sa mga sa issues ng government, no? So that's a sad truth sa ngayon. Sana mag-improve tayo on that part. Kasi for example, aside from doing this podcast, wala naman akong ibang ginagawa para to make our government accountable. Kasi siguro
it's a long term
part of it hindi ko alam on how to do it, no? Hindi ko rin alam kung how will it affect me or my family pag ginawa ko 'yon. So 'yon.
It's a long term fight, Ram. So we're starting with these conversations to make people within our circle aware of what's happening, friends, family, and for other people who may watch this conversation about what's really happening in our country, and that ordinary people like us, ordinary citizens like us, are talking about it, and we know what's happening. So I want to share something before we discuss how can we do more for the country as citizens. Kasi we will discuss a bit of what religion has done to the citizenry and what is the importance of the right to bear arms, like the one in the United States. They call it the Second Amendment. But before that, I want to show you two videos on how it was revealed by another public officer on how politicians grift or plunder money.
Kukuha rin yan, sabihin natin, mga 10% or 12%, 15%, taxes, 8%, insurance bond, 1%, yung BACPA, Beach and Awards Committee, usually yan, 3% kukunin. Pero pang contingency fund na 2%. So halos 55% nang nawala, 45% na naiwan. Wala pa yung profit ng contractor. Anong average profit ng contractor niyan? 15 to 18% or 20%. Pero sabihin natin yung contractor kasi may sense of patriotism, kumuha lang ng 10%. Kaya lang na-realize niya, yung profit ko pala, after 1 year ko pa kukunin. Bakit after 1 year? Kasi may retention na 10% eh. So 35, kukurot din ako rito sa 35 ulit para may pang-cover ako doon sa 1. So kita mo, magkano na lang maititira? 30. Tanungin mo yung contractor, anong gagawin mo? Isa substandard kasi. Look at the rock netting. Nagbabagsakan. Bakit walang nag-imbestiga? Eh, lahat sila nakinabang. And this is worth hundreds of millions. They have a share of the loot. Eh, wala nag-imbestiga. It's systemic, it's massive, it's structural, it is sustained, it is deliberate. 10 years from now or 15 years from now. Venezuela. What happened to Venezuela? In 2014, bigla siya nang-declare, we're not capable of paying our debts anymore. In just a matter of 1 week, hyperinflation, grabe yung hunger, poverty went up, crime went up, people were killing each other, taas ng bilihin, people were throwing away their money because it's useless. Sino unang umalis? Yung mga mayayaman na mga corrupt na mga politiko na nagnakaw ng kanilang pera ng taong bayan. Yan ang unang-unang umalis. Naiwan ngayon tuloy yung mga tao, naghihirap. Look at the trend now in our country. 2016, bagong presidente si PRRD. Ang national debt natin was at 5.9 trillion. You can go over it sa Department of Finance. 5.9 trillion accumulated for more than 40 years. After his term, after 6 years, merong pandemic. Due to pandemic and of course due to corruption as well. Ang utang natin ng June when he left was 11.7 trillion. Nadoble. The end of December, same year, bagong administration, 13.4. 2023, 14.6. 2024, how much was our national debt? 16.04%. Ang projection was 15.58. Hindi nangyari. It was 16.04%. At the end of 2024, January, it was already at 16.31 trillion. The projection this year, at the end of 2025, is 17.38 trillion. You know, in just a matter of 8 years, na-triple agad yung utang natin. And unfortunately, yung budget natin, 20% of our budget goes to someone else's pocket. What if I tell you that?
So yun, that is the current state, Ram. That it is an open secret actually, ni-reveal lang ni Mayor Magalong in detail ang corruption.
I'm
Speechless ka.
Kasi this money will be paid by our grandchildren's grandchildren. Hindi, parang wala na rin siyang katapusan, no? Parang ang mangyayari pa niyan, we are just passing on to the next generation. Kasi hindi naman na tayo magbabayad niyan eh. It's the next generation that will suffer. It's not us. Kasi, for example, tayo, we can fend for ourselves, no? But how about our next generation? Sila ang mas mahihirapan.
Yes, because they will confront and suffer from the burden that is done by the current administration. So I'll show something else. Look how they treat taxpayers' money.
Oh, never na nangyari sa kanila. Meron na tayong nabigyan ng budget dito sa infrastructure, pati mga ating mga ISIS, 5.8 billion. Ngayon, 2025, ang binigay po sa akin budget ng ating presidente, budget ng ating speaker, is 3.5 billion.
Ba't parang ang laki ng budget ni Franz Pumarin?
Exactly. Mas malaki pa sa confidential pati. Mapapamura ka na lang talaga dyan eh. And then, okay, sabihin na natin he got that kind of budget. Where will it go? How will you use those that money? And it's like that it's being given like as a personal money. Ganyan nangyayari sa budget natin, Ram. So, as a public officer in that district or that city, so how will you use those money? Nasaan? How will the constituents, your constituents, will benefit from it? Diba? Speeches ka ulit.
Masyadong malaki ang 3.5 billion.
Masyadong malaki, no? Sabi ko nga, wow. Parang ang daming pera. We can use all those money to improve infrastructure, to improve our digital technology in making our government processes more efficient. We can implement a blockchain technology to make government transactions efficient or digitizing a lot of public services.
I
Yeah,
think no, we have 16 trillion in debt. We are in 16 trillion in debt. And then, malaman mo may 3.5 billion sa isang congressman. Congressman ba si Franz? Tama ba?
Councilor boy.
Councilor? Councilor lang
Councilor.
siya.
Wait lang. Congressman ba? Let's see. Franz Pumal. Yeah. Paano na siya? Congressman na pala. Oh.
Kasi,
Dati
ang
councilor
pinili
yun.
si Romualdez eh.
Oh, yeah.
So to think, for example, if Franz Pumarin has 3.5 billion, so ilang congressmen ang may billions of pesos? Lahat ba ay ganun ang budget? So sabihin na natin ganun, conservatively. So that's, ilan bang representative?
300. Okay, how many? 300 plus.
That will
So,
become a trillion pesos. 300 times
Yeah.
3.5, right? So dun pa lang, no? Umuutang tayo
Hindi.
for
Not only that,
projects.
Congress people are legislators. They're not implementors. It should be the agencies, the executive agencies, that should be implementing the laws, implementing the projects. Bakit napupunta sa mga congressmen? And bakit sila nagdi-distribute ng ayuda? Bakit hindi DSWD? Bakit? So there is a patent systemic
Yes. Balik na lang tayo sa sinabi ni
problem.
Magalong.
Mm.
'Di ba? So, ano na siya eh. Sindikato talaga siya eh. Our government is a big syndicate.
I agree. When someone asks me, so bakit pwede naman mag-file ng even sadly, no, if I think about it, even our courts are part of it, of this syndicate. There is a case, si Martin Romualdez Delaware about bribery sa Okada. It's not being discussed. No, that is already public records in the United States, and it was discussed. They have a case and facts that were deliberated. So yun, hindi fake news yun. And in that case, shockingly, no, not shockingly, kasi alam naman natin, he was able to call Supreme Court justices to facilitate whatever he is requesting. So, compromise din ang courts natin, Ram. So we are captured. That's why we are discussing, are we really in a democracy or just a semblance of democracy, but we're really in a kleptocracy? Again, what is kleptocracy? Natin ulit, no? So kleptocracy is a form of government where officials use their authority to exploit the state's resources for personal gain. It's marked by corruption, theft of public funds, and a focus on enriching those in power rather than serving the population. So it's a kleptocratic government. Siguro may consolation tayo kasi yun din na na-discover nila sa United States through Elon Musk and his Doge team. Now, Ram, you were talking about kanina, how can we be able to contribute with impact as citizens? No, sabi mo parang yes, we also have our lives to individual lives to protect and to focus on, no? Pero what do you think about the idea about the idea of the right to bear arms as a protection against tyranny? Because the right to bear arms in the United States, meron yan eh. It refers to the legal ability of citizens to own firearms, often cited as a defense against a tyrannical government. No. This idea is rooted in history of the United States. During the American Revolution kasi, it was formalized in the US Constitutions. They call it Second Amendment. In theory, with this right to bear arms, an armed populace can resist oppression acting as a deterrent to government overreach, which is what's happening right now. Concentrated kasi ang armas natin eh. Ang armas natin hindi parang bearing of arms is not part of our culture, number one, and it's not really part of the Constitution. And kung sino ba may mga armas, yung mga nasa positions of power, no? The commander-in-chief of the armed forces, which is the president, siya may control sa PNP and AFP. But what if we cannot rely on the AFP and PNP? Are we just slaves? No, diba? Have you thought about that? That if we cannot rely on AFP and PNP to follow constitutional and lawful orders, we will just be slaves. We are trapped. So, what do you think about the right to bear arms in the United States? And can this eventually be part, no, one part, being isa sa mga pwedeng solution natin para magkaroon ng deterrence of corruption in the country? What do you think?
I think sa ngayon, I think it's too early for the Filipinos to have arms. Kasi unang-una, makikita mo sa road rage eh. Pag tayong lahat may barel, sobrang lang, sobrang lagi na lang na may patayan sa daan. And I think ang dapat mauna ay education.
Education, yeah.
So,
Values.
bago tayo mag-bear arms, we should improve our education and how we think critically. Kasi baka dun pa lang sa critical thinking, we can
Masolve na natin.
Oo. And saka na lang yung right to bear arms. Kasi I don't think we are mature enough to have our own weapons. Lalo na konting gitgitan lang nagkakapikunan, maglalabasan na ng baril. I'm sure maraming barilan sa daan pag lahat tayo may baril. Yun, medyo rin siya eh. It's a double-edged sword. Alam ko rin yung pino-point out mo to maganda rin yung objective ng Second Amendment. But I think for now, hindi siya applicable sa Philippines. And hindi rin siya, realistically speaking, hindi rin gagawin ng mga congressmen natin to pass a law that allows people to bear arms. Actually,
you can purchase arms pero kailangan mo ng marami kang bago ka magka-authority to license to bear arms, to possess, permit to carry, permit to possess, 'di ba? So arms. So it's very important, no, kasi nga 'di ba napag-usapan natin yung INC kanina, I pointed that out. Millions nga sila pero parang hindi pa pinapansin eh. They requested something, no, a political request. Pero hindi pinapakinggan. No, kasi alam ng government natin, they're not armed.
Kasi
alam nila yan.
Ito rin naman yung if ever armed sila, na yun eh, parang they will be equivalent of NPA, 'di ba? Kasi ang NPA
there will be a revolution,
'di ba?
Yeah.
So, yun. NPA
yes.
Pinapansin ngayon eh. What more yung mga hindi pa armed, 'di ba?
Yes. Kasi ang NPA, konti lang yan eh. Pero if you have an armed citizenry like ordinary citizens, like millions of people that are armed, they just keep them at their homes, there's some apprehension on the part of the powers that be, the public officers, that they cannot just oppress people because they know that these armaments, these guns are being just hidden from them. Like at any time, if you oppress them, but they can revolt. So how could it help? No, let's check the counter arguments. No, the arguments. No, if citizens are armed, a government might hesitate. Impose tyrannical measures, fearing resistance. Kasi another thing, self-defense. That's why you need to have, before you get arms, you need to have the mental acuity and mental capacity to use that arms, not for offense, but self-defense. Self-defense. Now, in extreme cases, it could enable people to protect themselves and their rights if democratic institutions fail. Kasi, if, for example, the reason why nagkakaroon ng tyranny sa country is the executive department captures also the armed forces and the PNP. If you have the monopoly of armaments in the country, you can subdue the citizenry. That is one of the major arguments for right to bear arms. That is the major argument kung bakit may Second Amendment ng United States. Yung counter-argument na we discussed, that you discussed, no, the practicality, yung education ng tao, tama ka, no, masyadong maraming may init ang ulo, that you can use it also to oppress instead of self-defense, instead of deterrence. Mas magiging pwede, no, this possibility na magkakaroon ng violence sa streets, no, pag may argument, labas ka agad ng barel. An armed citizenry might not match also a modern military with advanced weapons, but it's okay, no, limiting its effectiveness against tyranny. But practical point of view, you know, the AFP and the PNP are there to protect the population, no. So civil war, ano na yan, ultimate ano na yan, last resort na yon, last resort. Counter argument number 2, risk. The widespread gun ownership could increase violence, like what you said, no? Especially in a country like the Philippines, where armed insurgencies, crime, and political conflicts already exist. The problem naman sa mga ganon, hindi pwedeng concentrated lang sa mga may militia or political power ang armas. And they can really oppress you pag wala kang armas. Ganon yung nangyayari sa atin ngayon. Context, no? The Philippines has its own firearm laws stricter than the US pala, no? And expanding gun rights might empower not just citizens but also corrupt factions or warlords. But in reality, these corrupt factions and warlords already have their arms. May baril na sila, Rame. Pero tayo, for example, our neighbors, our families, they don't have. No, wala tayo eh. But again, I agree that the arms are the last resort. The most important thing is critical thinking and values education for the Philippines. Pero there's another important aspect of our culture, which is religion. Do you think religion is a deterrent or makes our citizenry passive? Instead of, for example, sabi mo nga kanina, instead of, you know, redressing grievances, no, they become accepting and passive, yung mga Pilipino, because of, for example, our religious culture. Is it a strength or a weakness, the role of religion?
In terms of the Philippine politics kasi, no, and our church or our religion, kasi laging nasasabi yung forgiveness. So, alam mo yun.
Mercy. Have mercy.
Forgiveness. Ang kabaliktaran kasi ng forgiveness for me is accountability eh. So, ano bang mas mabigat sa atin? Is it forgiveness or is it accountability? For me, dapat if you are in public office, mas mabigat ang accountability. Because you are addressing your constituents needs. Hindi lang siya pwedeng nilalaro mo ang budget or you are doing this for your own sake. People are actually dependent on you. So yun. So accountability over forgiveness ako.
Me too, definitely. The Catholic Church has deeply influenced Filipino values. You know, our family, our friends, no, during the time of the Spaniards, no, it has been used as a weapon of war, no, to pacify, no, para hindi ka hindi ka lalaban kasi you will focus on forgiveness, focus on mercy, focus on acceptance. It often promotes traits like obedience, humility, and forgiveness. These can be beautiful in personal life, no, in our immediate circle, but when applied to society, they can foster passivity or fear of conflict. Now, historically kasi, Ram, even in China, ewan ko, baka si Mao Zedong ba ang nagsabi? Sabi niya, religion is the opium of the masses. It's a drug. No, historically, religion has been used worldwide to keep populations submissive. And in the Philippines, centuries of colonial rule paired with the Catholic doctrine have reinforced a mindset of acceptance over resistance. So ganyan ang nangyayari ngayon, no? If you will look at it, parang if you go to Pampanga, to our province, makikita mo, people are just, talking about things, but they're really passive. They're not really engaged politically. Because we deflect conflict eh. And it's the practice of religion of having mercy and forgiveness. That kind of, ay, sige, bahala na. Diba? Turn the other cheek. Leave it to God. Bahala na. So it's kind of restrictive or slavish in nature when it's taken to the extreme.
Tama naman.
So how can we use, for example, since we are all religious, how can we use religion as, as a catalyst of, for change? Kasi sa 1986 revolution, the priests, they were the ones who were leading the revolution. Pero if you will look at history pala, no, it is backed up. It is backed up by military. So again, it goes back to armaments, goes back to the ones who hold the arms of the country. Matindi, no? Matindi ang natin ngayon. Para tayong trapped, but not necessarily trapped, because we can able to discuss this one and discuss the values that we need to help our country. What will be your personal actions knowing all these are happening in our country?
Siguro focus on education first for my kids. And then I'm not closing any doors kung may makitang opportunity abroad. Kasi
that's a problem.
If you don't want what you get here, and look for something else, diba? Kasi nagiging ganito tayo, naging bitter tayo kasi we don't have a choice sa ngayon kasi nandito tayo eh. But what if may choice ka to go somewhere else? Mawala rin bitterness mo eh. Alam mo yan, parang okay, magulo kayo dyan,
bahala kayo. Oo.
Basta kami dito, ayusin namin dito, diba? So yun, I think having choices will also help. Will also help me, help others to para magkaroon ng ng informed decision on the next steps. And yung ganito, engaging in discussions, not necessarily with same-minded people, no? Kasi hindi natin alam, no? During discussions, we are encouraging different viewpoints and we can possibly influence them on how to think differently. lalo na yung mga nakakatanggap din ng ayuda. Kasi hindi nila alam sila yung ginagamit for our politicians to stay in power. Hindi ko alam kung aware sila, no? Siguro number 1, they should be aware. Number 2, doon na pupunting critical thinking. Bakit kaya nila to ginagawa? What's in it for them? Dapat kasi laging ganun tayo eh. Kasi for me, there's no such thing as free lunch. Yung out of the goodness of their hearts, they will give 10,000. Number 1 question, where did the money came from? Diba? It's not from them eh. It's from the taxpayers' money. So yun, doon pa lang, siguro step 1, ano yung sinabing step 1? Step 1 is awareness.
Choice to go out.
Step 1 is awareness, then step 2 is critical thinking for everyone. Pero yung for my personal action, I need to have choices then.
Yep.
Para lang hindi ka parang feeling trapped. Hindi ka palang feeling trapped. If ever you don't want it here, you can go somewhere else. And you can, kaya naman eh. Pero syempre, mas mahirap siyang i-execute when you have children. Like me, I have 3 kids. So maraming factors ang i-consider.
Need to consider. Yeah, the cost benefit, no? Cost benefit. Alam mo, Rab, yung situation mo is also the feeling of a lot of OFWs. That's why they 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 cannot go back to the country right now because there's no work. No, what are the opportunities here? Wala pa rin major investments in the country. What are the major investments? And who will invest in a corrupt in the corrupt state of the country? When you need to invest, you will put up your factory here. You need to pay off some politicians, 'di ba? So,
Hindi siya investable.
it's not. It's not. It's not. Right now, it's not investable.
Even real estate is not investable. Kasi for now, no, yung surplus ng condo is very 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 large. So yung mga gumagawa ng condo ngayon, I think ang target siguro nila is to break even na lang muna. Kasi who will buy their units kung may surplus? For example, yung discrepancy ng 12 million condo versus yung mga surplus nagbebenta ng 5M, 4M. So, diba, yung mga bago, hindi yan mapapansin, diba? Unless it's compelling with features, with functionalities. Walang bibili yan.
Yes, especially now, the OFWs who are very frustrated with what's happening in the country. How can they invest in real estate when they think that the security and safety of the country is at question, diba? And another thing, you will only invest in real estate when there's an opportunity for work, diba? Kaya ka nga bibili ng condominium unit is there is a work nearby. So have we added some work that can pay off, for example, the installment payments for a condominium unit? I doubt it. That's why there's a surplus, diba? So, yun nga, before, we are already rising up. The security and safety of the country is good. No, we have good investments. So, we have new roads, beautiful airports. Tourism is picking up. Pero bumalik tayo, unfortunately, during this time. As for me naman, it's very important also yung sinasabi mo na flexibility. Liquidity is very important, so you have a choice whether or not to stay here in the country or go abroad, no? And focus on work within our control. So if you have a business, if you have a work now, focus on making better whatever the task or whatever the goal or whatever your job is, no? Doing better in your job. No, that is within your control. Right now, we cannot control the bigger picture. No, we need a collective action to be able to make a revolutionary change. But here, what we're doing in our podcast, we are making crucial conversations about national issues, about important things that is happening in the country. It is within our control. We can be able to make our friends and family aware of what's happening, and also some people who might be interested to watch our deep dive conversations. And another thing, if I have a kid, hindi ko outsource totally sa mga eskwelahan ang education ng anak ko. Dapat I have control over the education and values of my kids. Kasi paglabas nila, you cannot just outsource everything. Pinag-usapan natin yan sa Factory Style of Education in our last podcast. And of course, sharing and talking about the values within our inner circle is very important. So next discussion natin, Ram, maybe we can discuss how can we apply something like DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, in our country, and maybe some technologies like blockchain technology in making our government transactions more transparent. And the current, I'm not sure kung ginagawa pa rin yung National Single Window ng Philippines, which is an attempt towards transparency, efficiency of government transactions and trade processes.